without looking like I'm repeating what my colleagues have said, you really deserve to be congratulated for this industry. And I will tell you why in the next 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, there lived a man in this country, and today is lying dead, Peter Castro Oloaringo. I'm privileged to have been in Parliament with him, and I know the difference he made in our lives when Parliamentary Service Commission saw the light of the day. Mr. Speaker, because of this, I would like to use this opportunity to send my condolences to this fallen hero, and especially to the people of Siaya, whom he served so well. I was reading, Mr. Speaker, about his story and how he related to the people of Siaya. And I could see an Osotsi, a man who goes home and people flock into his compound just to ask for small little favors that make a whole difference in the lives of our people. I have always sat in my house, Mr. Speaker, and in my home. And when I give a woman 400 shillings, if I was to do that in Nairobi, people would think I'm crazy. But when I give this woman 400 shillings and she goes and buys uniform for her daughter, the daughter will march on and top at the national exam at Malinya Primary School, at Shikunga Primary School, at Shibuya Primary School, and all other primary schools, including Luhuna Primary School, Simuli Primary School, and it makes a big difference. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I want to persuade you, Mr. Speaker, I want to persuade you. What you are querying is you want to make the counties independent. But in the structure of this proposal, Mr. Speaker, you are making them independent from the governor, and you have created a monster in this law called the administrator. They will now become slaves of the administrator, in this case, the clerk. The clerk, using this act, Mr. Speaker, if we don't improve it, will do what he likes. And our MCAs will have to dance to his tune. Mr. Speaker, I beg you to read from the establishment of the Public Service Commission vis-a-vis the establishment of Parliamentary Service Commission. We borrowed one from the other. Similarly, when we established the County Public Service Act, Mr. Speaker, we were informed by the Public Service Commission. So I want to propose that further, when we go to the committee, the third committee, the third reading, Mr. Speaker, I'll be proposing that we amend, Mr. Speaker, the following. We amend 109A in subclause 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for this reason. That everywhere you have put the word administrator, Mr. Speaker, I will be requesting you, and because this is your bill, you should agree, I'll be requesting you that the word administrator, we replace it with a County Assembly Administrative Board. In this County Assembly Administrative Board, Mr. Speaker, which replaces the administrator, then the Speaker of the County Assembly becomes the chairman. And the clerk is the CEO. And the vice chairman of that board to be one of the county assembly members. Then both the opposition in the county assembly and the majority in the county assembly will propose an equal number of people, the equivalent of our commissioners. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine the clerk controlling billions of shillings? How powerful it's going to be? And only the clerk as an individual then talks with the control of the budget, the two people, and they can actually withdraw anything up to including 1 billion shillings. And given that this is a fund, it means that the money going into this account will not go back to the National Treasury. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, there's a possibility that at one time you could get billions of shillings into an account to be controlled by only one man or one woman. I'm requesting this House that this is not a responsibility we can put in the hands of one person unless that person is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Mr. Speaker, I say this knowing very well that your intention is to make MCAs stronger, you make them independent, and you want to strengthen the oversight role. If this is the case, why then are you strengthening the clerk instead of strengthening the institution of the county assembly? Mr. Speaker, my final contribution to this very important law is as far as clause 109B is concerned, where I say that the fund shall be used for those reasons A, B, and C. I want to propose, Mr. Speaker, that we add D, where D will be that the fund will also underwrite development in counties. So if they are only doing administrative, where will the development that is required in county assemblies come from? Are you telling me that after we have formed this fund, Mr. Speaker, and now you want to build a new county assembly, as we do in Kakamega, or you want to do major renovations in the county assembly, you go back to the county executive? That would be the wrong way of doing law. So I propose that we add subclause 109BD to address this. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, allow me to make one running comment on the state of counties vis-a-vis how our governors and MCAs are working. There has never been greater deceit in this country. There has never been an opportunity for greater connivance to steal as what is happening in some of our counties, Kakamega being one of them. Mr. Speaker, in my county, we ran a project running into billions, Mr. Speaker, the so-called the 10-mile per ward project. And Mr. Speaker, millions of shillings were sung in, and when you go to Kakamega, there is no single 10-kilometer road project that is complete in any ward. Mr. Speaker, our MCAs, especially in Kakamega, have been reduced to cheering squads. You go to a public function where you are sharing the platform with the governor, like in the case of Vihiga, where young Osoti has expressed interest in running for governor. Mr. Speaker, the MCAs will not even wait for Osoti, if it is in a funeral, to say, my name is Senator Osoti, and I have come to pay my condolences. They just start wailing and booing. And because, like in Kakamega, some of the MCAs who are really vulnerable to this kind of are our nominated ones. So you see that they are actually hysterical. So I got one, if I mention her name, I'll be put to task, and ask her, why are you doing this? And she told me, my brother, things are so difficult that I was given 3,000 shillings. So for 3,000 shillings, an elected, especially an elected leader, screams herself hoarse just to earn that 3,000 shillings. I will do this for Mama Imbosa in Kakamega. Mr. Speaker.
You want to be informed by Senator Beatrice Ogora?
Yeah, Beatrice is always very informative. I welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just needed to inform the majority whip and my senior that the state of the elected is more worse in the counties because, Honorable Speaker, the elected MCAs have a duty to deliver to their wards, to their voters. So they are literally lining up in the offices of the executive, lining up and following up the CECs and actually begging. So if the nominated senators are blowing vuvuzela, the elected leaders are worse off. That is just the information that I was giving you. And just to build up onto what you are saying, the majority whip.
I thank you for that information. I thought it was happening only in Vihiga and Kakamega. Now there you go. It is happening in Homa Bay. Mr. Speaker, I'm congratulating you and vowing on this floor for the sake of the devolution family and as a champion of devolution that I am doing this so as to help Mama Imbosa, nominated MCA. When she told me it was 3,000, I felt so sorry. I knew they are truly suffering. I'm doing this for my cousin, MCA elected, Cyrus Moyeya. I feel so sorry when I see him. I'm doing this for Agedis Liai, my MCA in Idaho Central, Mr. Speaker. The guy is a huge guy who weighs around 150, 200 kilos, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, Senator Boni Karwale, must you describe or mention their names in this floor?
Mr. Speaker, unless...
And also describe their physical appearance.
Mr. Speaker, I'm guided.
No, you should not do
Mr.
that.
Speaker, I am guided, but this is so serious because they are doing this at the expense of oversight to the extent that today, as I speak, there is no single contractor on site anywhere in the expansive Kakamega County, all the way from Matungu to Likuyani, a distance of over 200 kilometers. There is no contractor on site. Mr. Speaker, I'm doing it for the sake of my contractor from Mumias, who last week got a stroke because of pending bills. If only we had a strong county assembly, the pending bills would be being interrogated in the county assemblies. They would not be waiting to come to pick and pack here in the Senate. Let's take this law very seriously so that governors can stop being little kings. Some have started even moving to want to become kingpins. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate you, and I just wanted to inform you that I have an idea why the voice of Senator Mofire has changed. Mr. Speaker, it is deeper, it is louder, it is authoritative. I didn't know that these things can happen by rapping on or osmosis. Where is Mofire? He has left. And Mr. Speaker, by extension, the one of Thangwa has become thinner and frail. I'll talk to them, they tell me why these contracts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Oburu Odinga.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like first of all to take this opportunity to congratulate you for being very, very insightful and also being foresighted in bringing this bill. Mr. Speaker, I am a veteran in this parliament. I have been in this parliament for over 30 years. And Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that there is one time when this parliament was fully dependent on the OP. We had to, our budget was done through the office of the president, and we were fully dependent on them and the treasury. The oversight role that we were supposed to play, Mr. Speaker, was done through, sometimes we had to blackmail the treasury in order for them to release some money for us, to refuse to approve the budget, do all sorts of, put all sorts of pressure on the executive. And yet we were supposed to be oversighting them, but they use that budget, they use that hold, because they hold the purse, those who hold the string of the purse call the shots. And they use that to make sure that the agenda goes through. And that time, Mr. Speaker, we were not supposed to even oversight the budget. The budget itself was banged on us, those huge documents, and we were not able to scrutinize them. Mr. Speaker, my one of my former members of parliament, Honorable Oluwaringo, who is now late and is still lying in state, did a great job for this country. He did a great job. There were many others who supported him. We all supported him, but he did an insightful research. He did a lot of research and came out with proposals on the way forward. But that time, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you there was a lot of resistance from the executive. It took a long time of struggle. It was not for one person. It was the whole parliament. We were fighting to get our space. We were fighting to get our space. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we managed to get a budget committee, which was hived off from my committee, which I was chairing. That time I was the chair of Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, when it was hived off, we had a budget committee. We were able now to scrutinize the budget before it is brought and banked. We were using colonial laws, which only allowed us to deduct 20 shillings, which was £1. That is the only thing you could deduct from the budget as parliament. So parliament was actually held at ransom, though we were called oversight in quotes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are giving the counties something for which they have not struggled as long as Parliament did to get the Parliamentary Service Commission, the Budget Committee, to be able to scrutinize the budget. Mr. Speaker, this bill which you have brought is going to enable the National Assembly members to have some little bit of autonomy. Though, Mr. Speaker, that autonomy will not come until you also do something else. We also do something else. Maybe somebody else should take up this matter. I don't think I have that energy now to take up the matter, but I'm advising maybe Honorable Sosi, take up this matter. The Salary Review Commission is actually making it very difficult for county assembly members to oversight the executive. Because if you look at the pay slip of the county assembly members, it is peanuts. And yet they are oversighting somebody who is getting over 1 million shillings in a month. And for them, they are getting something less than, far, far less than 100,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. And if they take the deductions, I looked at the pay slip of one of the members from Nakuru. He came and tabled it before our committee of devolution. Mr. Speaker, I said this is one way of disablling members to do the oversight. Mr. Speaker, you cannot do oversight when you are actually suffering pecuniary embarrassment. The amount of money you are getting is peanuts. And we must find a way of dealing with this issue of remunerating the county assembly members properly. But this will not be part of this bill. This bill, Mr. Speaker, I support what Honorable Halwale has suggested, that we carry out an amendment not to make a monster out of the clerk. Mr. Speaker, if you give one individual to be the one controlling, and you remove it from the county executive, you will remove it from the county treasury, and then you create another monster in the assembly. It will not do good to the county assembly members whom we are targeting to empower so that they can properly oversight the executive. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I hope you are going to consider that proposal by Honorable Halwale. And I just stood up, Mr. Speaker, to support what you are doing, and it is a great job. It is following some history, and I hope that this is one of the cornerstones of our role of strengthening devolution, and we are going to do more. I saw a committee of this House negotiating in a joint with the National Assembly on the funds. Mr. Speaker, that kind of negotiation which is going on is portraying that this assembly, this Senate, is actually very serious on strengthening devolution, because we cannot oversight the county executives if they don't get proper allocation of money. We must first make sure that money goes there, and then we follow it to see that it is properly implemented in the service of our people. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and I fully support this bill with the amendments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next is Senator Dulo Fatuma Ada.